Hence, the leadership of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, secured an interim injunction from the court restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, from recognizing or dealing with Chief Edozie Njoku as the party's national chairman. So much has happened in the party. The injunction, which was granted by Justice J.K. Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Federal Capital Territory Division, was sequel to a suit filed by the incumbent National Chairman of APGA, Chief Sly Ezeokenwa, to challenge the INEC's alleged false representation of Chief Njoku and his group as a national executive of APGA. According to Chief Ezeokenwa, INEC acted in error by posting Njoku's name on its website as national chairman of APGA. Joining us now is Chief Sly Ezeokenwa, a chieftain of All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, and acclaimed national chairman of the party. Good morning and welcome to the morning show.
Yeah, good morning, my dear sister. And well, I may not really agree with you with respect to the title or the appellation of acclaimed national chairman. And by the way, good morning, Dr. Ruben, and good morning, my brother Rufai. It's quite a thrilling one to be with you this morning. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ruben.
Yeah, Chief, let's not be sly about this conversation. Let's be very candid. Are you...
I'll try as much as possible to be very candid.
Anyway, don't worry, just be yourself. Ayo was talking about...
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Ayo was talking about an injunction. I know that Mr. Njoku also got an injunction. So there are injunctions on both sides. I would like you to speak to us about the leadership crisis in your party, APGA, or otherwise known as APGA. Yes. And then what happened in Oka yesterday. and what happened in Oka yesterday.
Well,
you know, in Oka yesterday,
yes, I will try as much as
the
possible.
party secretariat was sealed off. The campaign office of Mr. Peter Obi was also sealed up, you know. So you had those two incidents, but all within the context of the leadership crisis in the party.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. I'll try as much as possible to be concise on your request, now that you've told me not to be sly about it. First of all, you did allude to the fact that there was an INEC recognition of a stranger. We used to, try as much as possible not to use derogatory words on people on live TV, of a total stranger on the 9th of July, 2024. Now, INEC, of course, they never communicated us because it is a fact that I assumed office as the national chairman of APGA after the national convention of the party that was held on the 31st of May, 2023. And that ushered in the new set of executives under my leadership. Now, that is given. The second fact is that from the time I assumed office on the 31st of May, I have always been recognized by INEC as the national chairman of APGA. Of course, the current executive of APGA under my leadership, we nominated the candidate for Edo governorship election. We nominated the candidate for Ondo governorship election. And of course, you'll recall that earlier this year, there were by-elections, and we nominated candidates. So that is not given, or that is not in contest. Now, subsequently, on the 9th of July, INEC now changed the names of the leadership of the party or national officers of the party as contained in its website. But they put a caveat. If you see the name of Edozie Njoku, you will see beside it court order. What does this imply? This implies that there is a court judgment or an order of a court of competent jurisdiction that has compelled INEC to so recognize. Now, every reasonable person will ask a very simple question, which is, furnish us with the court order that compelled you to recognize Edozie Njoku as national chairman of APGA. Now, let me shock you. Till date, INEC has not been able to furnish anybody any judgment or order of any court that has compelled them to so recognize. That is one issue. Now, the closest thing or the closest semblance of the reason why INEC took their decision was because after they did that, we wrote to them and we chronicled the leadership issues in APGA from 2019 till date. And we asked them, in the interest of justice and what is proper, to reverse the erroneous recognition, because as far as we are concerned, it was done in error. Now, just recently, INEC has now come out in a counter affidavit they filed in a suit that are instituted to challenge that erroneous recognition. And what they claimed was that following the Supreme Court correction of its judgment on the 23rd day of March 2023, that the Supreme Court returned APGA back to status quo. And they now claimed, or they now brought back again, the issue of an Owerri Convention that was allegedly held somewhere in 2019. And they now claimed that that was the basis for their recognition. They now, two issues or three issues arise from INEC's position. First of all, is the legal status of the purported Owerri Convention. The second one is the implication of the correction of the Supreme Court's judgment on the 23rd day of March 2023. And then the third one, per se, is the one I've already highlighted, which is if there is any extant order of any court that has compelled INEC to recognize Edozie Njoku as APGA National Chairman. And I'll go to the first issue. Now, the first issue is, what is the legal status of the purported convention in Owerri? Okay. Of course, Chief. In the same counter affidavit, sorry, I don't know, I will take not less than 2 minutes. Okay. Not less than 2 minutes. In the same, not more than 2 minutes. In the same counter affidavit, INEC admitted that they only monitored one convention, which was the one that was held in Awka. Now, what INEC failed to tell Nigerians was that the said convention, or the alleged convention that was allegedly held in Owerri, had been subject of a judicial pronouncement by 3 judgments of the Court of Appeal. The first one was the judgment of the Court of Appeal, Kano Division, which was delivered on the 10th of August 2021, where the Court of Appeal held unequivocally that the only national chairman of APGA at that time was Chief Dr. Victor Ikoye. Because while we are doing all these things, you must not forget that this whole issue was a leadership tussle between Edozie Njoku and the former national chairman, Dr. Victor Ikoye. I had no business with the whole tussle. Now, on 10th of August, like I earlier said, the Court of Appeal Kano said emphatically that APGA conducted a convention in Awka and that Oye was the national chairman. And as such, that before Edozie Njoku and his proxies went to Jigawa, because you recall the Jigawa, the infamous Jigawa judgment, before his proxies went to Jigawa to institute the action, Oye was the national chairman. Yes.
I was trying to interject to get some clarifications. Now, you've mentioned Chief Victor Oye, you've mentioned Chief Edozie Njoku. Yes. Now, I need you to do a number of clarifications. Number one, is it not the case? Yes. Is it not the case that the Supreme Court affirmed that Chief Edozie Njoku is the correct and proper person to be in that position? The date was March 24, not March 23. INEC, in its position, is just to obey what the court has said. So I don't think that the INEC is the villain in this matter. Number two, is it true that the High Court and the Court of Appeal nullified the convention that produced you? So, I mean, the position of the Supreme Court in this matter, when you say correction, in fact, the position of the Supreme Court, was it not in favor of Edozie Njoku? Just, please, quickly, that clarification.
Yes, these two clarifications. Dr. Ruben, I recall before I stepped into the studio, you beamed a letter written by the Supreme Court. Now, the fact is simple. The Supreme Court never, and I use the word never, declared Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. the Supreme Court, in the correction of an accidental slip in its judgment, stated that the correction was in respect of the background facts, where instead of mentioning the name of Edozie Njoku, because in the suit they filed at Jigawa, the person they alleged was the national chairman was Edozie Njoku, not Oye. And the Supreme Court said, yes, in the proper context of the background fact, that the person that his name ought to be mentioned there as the chairman allegedly suspended at Jigawa was Njoku, not Oye. Now, after that, the lawyers to Edozie Njoku wrote to the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to commence contempt proceedings against the chairman of INEC for failing to obey the Supreme Court judgment. And the letter you are just beaming on the screen is the response of the former CJN to Edozie Njoku, where, and if you read, he said that the ruling of the Supreme Court in suit number so-and-so dated the 24th of March, which you just referred to, did not alter the substance of the judgment delivered on 14th day of October 2021, affirming the judgment, because this is important, affirming the judgment of the Court of Appeal, which set aside the judgment of the High Court of Jigawa and held that who should be the acting national chairman of the party is within the confines of the internal affairs of the party, which is not justiciable. The second one is that the court, this is from the Supreme Court, the court could not have made any consequential order recognizing Chief Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. He now said, since no order to that effect was made by the court, the national chairman of INEC did not disobey any. Now, shockingly, the lawyers to Edozie Njoku received this letter on the 15th day of June 2023 and concealed the content of this document, both from the FCT High Court and the Court of Appeal. And fraudulently, I will have to use that word, because when you mislead a court, when you get a crucial document explaining the purport of what the Supreme Court did on the 24th of March 2023, and now proceeds, because there's what we call the presumption of concealment of evidence, that an evidence which could have been available and if not produced would have been unfavorable to the party who conceals such an evidence. So now, Dr. Ruben, this document unequivocally confirms that the Supreme Court did not declare Edozie Njoku as the national chairman of APGA. So that one is given.
Okay, so
now, coming to the second point about... Sorry. If you recall, I was asked two questions.
Okay, so it's very short, succinctly.
Yes.
Please tell us, respond to that question.
Very
We're almost
short.
out of time.
The second one is... Yes. Now, the second one is whether there was an order nullifying the convention that produced me. And I said there was no such order. The judgment of the FCT High Court is clear. APGA was not a party in the proceedings. It was APGA that conducted the convention that brought me to office. I was not a party to the proceedings. And mind you, everything the court in Buhari did was in respect of the tenure between 2019 and 2023. And whatever the court declared was with respect to whatever Oye did. Mind you, again, Oye was sued in his personal capacity. And then again, the Court of Appeal judgment that you just made allusion to, one of the justices that sat on appeal, Honorable Justice Pete Obiora, in his concurring judgment stated emphatically that whatever tenure anybody is laying claim to by virtue of the purported convention, whether it was in Oka or it was in Owerri, had long elapsed, because by Section 223, subsection 2, paragraph A of the Constitution, and Article 19 of APGA Constitution, officers of the party are elected for 4 years. So APGA has since moved on from the Oye/Njoku debacle. There is now a new executives of the party. So there are 2 points or 2 takeaways. One is the fact that it has been incontrovertible that the Supreme Court never declared Edozie Njoku as national chairman. So INEC was wrong to have based its decision on the purported correction by the Supreme Court. That is one. And then the second one is that there is no judgment anywhere that has nullified the convention that brought me to office, because it was a convention duly convened and by APGA, monitored by INEC. They sent a team of monitors led by Barrister. Yes.
All right, Chief. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, we've seen all these things you've talked about, the evidence you've laid before us. But the truth is that we're not the ones who will make the decision or ask INEC to change what's on their website.
Absolutely.
What's the next step forward? Have you approached the courts with this? Because you can have the conversation here, but the most important is what happens in court, because it has to be by the rule of law. What is the next step for you as factional chairman? Then the second part part for me is the role that the governor of Anambra State is playing in all of this. He had said recently that this is just a minor family feud and that it will be sorted in the interim. Is that the case?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, that is the case. That is the case. APGA is one big family, and I always maintain that. The governor of Anambra State is the national leader of the party. That is, there is no dispute about that. Every party in Nigeria is immersed in one crisis or the other. But the fact remains that it has been proven beyond doubt that INEC has committed probably an error. And we understand, again, I must say this, I understand why INEC took the position they took, because INEC was blackmailed. Why this whole thing was going on. Remember, this judgment in question was delivered by the High Court of Buhari on the 6th of June, 2023. It was not as if there was a new judgment by the Court of Appeal, Abuja. The only thing the Court of Appeal did was to affirm the judgment of FCT High Court Buhari. Now, when they delivered that judgment, of course, INEC knows the position and they know the truth. They ignored it. But they now followed up or harassed the INEC chairman with contempt proceedings. Recall that the judge in Buhari had already convicted Professor Mahmood Yakubu for alleged contempt because he was not aware, and I must equally excuse the innocent judge, he was not aware of this position by the Supreme Court. And so, on the 9th of July, they got a date after the Court of Appeal delivered this judgment, and they said, and they went about town that Professor Mahmood Yakubu was going to be sentenced by a court in Buhari for contempt. And of course, it's only a tree that has it will be cut down and will not run away. So we understand. And that's why we've now gone back to INEC, because this document was issued to us by the Supreme Court on the 6th of August, 2024. So this is now a new evidence that has come to light in the whole of this thing, and to show that the whole erroneous recognition was obtained by misleading both the High Court in Buhari and the Court of Appeal. And we're going to approach INEC again. In the light of this document, notwithstanding the matters that are in court, in the light of this document that has now come to fore, the honorable thing for you to do as a responsible commission created by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to reverse the error. And there is basis for it. Even if they go back to the FCT High Court, which, the matter for the contempt proceedings is still coming up in October, they can show the court this document from the Supreme Court to show incontrovertibly that the Supreme Court has stated that it never declared Edozie Njoku national chairman. And the fact is that in the whole issue between Oye and Njoku, the status quo before the case in Jigawa was instituted was that Oye was the duly recognized national chairman by INEC. So that is not in doubt. And we are sure and we hope that INEC is just going to do the honorable thing, which is to reverse the wrongful thing that they have done.
All right. Mr. Sly, thank you so much for all of this insight. On this point and on this note, we would like to end it.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you so much. We'll take a short break now, Dr. Abati.
Oh, okay. That's all?
Yeah.
Okay. I would love to ask, Chief, questions about the role of the governor of Anambra State in this matter, about the sealing of the secretariat in Anambra yesterday.